Good morning, church. Let's stand and let's worship today. God, I'm on my knees again. God, I'm begging, please again. I need you. Oh, I need you. Walking down these desert roads, water for my thirsty soul. I need you. Oh, I need you. Your forgiveness is like sweet, sweet honey on my lips. It's like the sound of a symphony in my ears. It's like holy water on my skin. To the riverside, take me under, baptize. I need you. Oh God, I need you. Oh, your forgiveness is like sweet, sweet honey on my lips. It's like sound of a symphony in my ears. It's like holy water on my skin. On my skin. I don't wanna abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me wanna change. I don't wanna abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me wanna change. I don't wanna abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me wanna change. I don't wanna abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me wanna change. Your forgiveness, oh, it's like sweet, sweet honey on my lips. It's like sound of a symphony in my ears. It's like holy water. Your forgiveness, oh, it's like sweet, sweet honey on my lips. It's like sound of a symphony in my ears. It's like holy water on my skin. It's like holy water on my skin. It's like holy water. Welcome into Genesis Metro Church. We have a new song for you guys today. It's called Breathe Miracles, and it's all about the almighty power that our God has in this world. It doesn't tax him or belabor him to work on our behalf, but this song says he is king of the impossible, and he breathes miracles over our lives. So let's sing it up to him tonight.
see my victory. When all I see is the mountain, you see the mountain move. And as I walk through the shadow, your love surrounds me. Oh, surrounding us. There's nothing to fear now, for I am safe with you. Alright, so when I fight, I'll fight on my knees, with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. And if you are for me, who can be against me? Oh, you bring us victory. For Jesus, there's nothing impossible for you. When all I see are the ashes, you see the beauty. Oh God, all I see is the cross. God, you see the empty tomb. So when I fight, I'll fight on my knees, with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet. I sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. An almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. An almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of God. So when I fight, I'll fight on my knees, with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet. I sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. And oh God, the battle belongs to you.
Do you feel that we now in the 21st century, we take technology for granted.
Well, yeah, because now we live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots that don't care, because this is what people are like now. They got their phone, and they're like, it won't. Give it a second. It's going to space. Can you give it a second to get back from space? Is the speed of light too slow for you? Yeah. I was on an airplane, and there was internet, high-speed internet on the airplane. That's the newest thing that I know exists. And I'm sitting on the plane, and they go, open up your laptop, you can go on the internet. And it's fast, and I'm watching YouTube clips. I'm in an airplane. And then it breaks down, and they apologize, the internet's not working. The guy next to me goes, like how quickly the world owes him something.
Yes.
He knew existed only 10 seconds ago.
Right.
And on planes, flying is the worst one, because people come back from flights and they tell you their story. And it's like a horror story. They act like their flight was like a cattle car in the 40s in Germany. That's how bad they make it sound.
Right.
They're like, it was the worst day of my life. First of all, we didn't board for 20 minutes. Right. And then we get on the plane, and they made us sit there on the runway for 40 minutes. We had to sit there. Oh, really? What happened next? Did you fly through the air incredibly like a bird? Did you partake in the miracle of human flight, you non-contributing zero, that you got to fly? You're flying! It's amazing. Everybody on every plane should just constantly be going, oh my God! Wow!
Yes.
You're flying. You're sitting in a chair in the sky.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Let's give it up for the band leading us in worship. This will be our last installment of Sunday Fun Day, and we'll be back to normal preaching. And so for those of you that have been just visiting for the last 4 weeks, then I will not be as funny as I am right now. So if the expectation was up here, just bring it down. And so today we're going to be talking about patience, okay? And I know that all of us struggle with patience. And in the story that you just heard a moment ago, really it was just a matter of perspective, right? Perspective and patience are wed together. And a lot of times if we could just change our perspective on the same set of circumstances, our outlook would be completely transformed. And I'll think about examples of that all the time. And I see people that, in today's culture, we say they're positive people, right? Positive people can always find the good in a perspective. Whereas when we are negative, we will always find the bad. An example would be, does everybody remember the movie Christmas Vacation? Does everybody remember the movie Christmas Vacation? Right? Like Clark has spent all of his time, like hundreds of thousands of light bulbs have been particularly placed. And finally, it comes on, the Shekinah glory shines around it. The nuclear generator has to be flipped on just for Clark's house to be able to be magnificently lit up. They all go out, and the family is sitting there on the front lawn, and everybody is beholding the majesty that is this light show, which is roughly the way that my wife views Christmas as well. And yet, there is a father-in-law who is negative. Does anybody remember what he said? What did he say? The little lights aren't twinkling, Clark. Thanks for noticing. He says, thanks for noticing, Art. Like, how could you see this, right, and yet only fixate on the negative? Man, some of you are, with laser precision, able to perceive the negative in every situation. Understand this. You are not a fun person, okay? And you need to change that about yourself. So you could just do this little test inside your mind. You could say, is what I'm getting ready to say positive, or is it negative? Is it a criticism, or is it constructive? Can I take the same phrasing and package it differently? Would that change? Do you think that would change your marriage? Anybody in here, like by show of hands, do you think it would change your marriage? Like if you thought to yourself, am I getting ready to say something positive? No, that's not positive. Should I say it then? No, I probably should. It would change your perspective if you pushed yourself to find a positive thing to say. Our theme verse, let's look at that together. 4th week in a row. It says, happy heart is a good medicine. A happy heart is a good medicine, but a broken spirit drains your strength. We are trying to get you to a happy heart, right? Trying to get you to a happy heart because as Christians, we should have the ultimate positive outlook on life, right? Why? Because when you consider the end game, right? The end game, the worst that can happen on this earth, the worst that can happen on this earth is death or death of a loved one. That's it. That's like there's no greater worst than death. And as believers, we should know with expectation what happens after death. Eternity with Jesus, right? Right? Like you should come in here every week and it would shift your perspective radically if you were like, man, I know I'm one step closer to being with Jesus. One of these days, I'm going to leave this terrible, crappy earth, and I am going to be in eternity with Jesus, not around any negative. Now, I wonder if some people, though, that go to church would get to heaven like, well, it's not as bright as I thought it was going to be. Like, come on, shift your perspective. Live like you are going to spend eternity with Jesus. And I guarantee you, the days that you're feeling down, if you could celebrate the fact that you are connected to the eternal creator of the universe who has carved out a divine purpose for your life, there is no way in the world that you can be like, traffic again, my day is ruined. Like, there's no way. There's no way. We are so impatient, so impatient. Are any of you guys, or if you are married to this person, are any of you guys nudgers at the traffic light? Like you nudge up? Has anybody seen that person? Like you're so impatient that like once you come to a stop, even though the light is turned red, like you gotta like keep on like, what is that all about? It's not helping. You're not getting anywhere any faster by the little, I'm always like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just calm down. It's going to turn. Impatience. And inevitably in a relationship, you're going to have different levels of pacing as a result or in respect to your level of patience, right? Right? That's going to happen. It's going to happen. Matter of fact, look at our theme verse for this week on patience. In the love chapter of the Bible, 1 Corinthians 13, it says, love is patient and kind. Love is patient and kind. We're going to say the word patient on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Patient. Patient. Are you patient? Every relationship is going to have, generally speaking, one fast-moving person and then one maybe relatively slow-moving person, all right? And in our relationship, I am that person. I am a plotter, right? I'm like Michael Myers in the Halloween movies. You know, like he's always walking, but yet he's ultimately getting there, right? Just like slow. But I'm methodical. I'm a plotter. Carrie is a sprinter. Carrie, like there is nothing in our house that is not like a whirling blur of a person, right? And if we go somewhere, imagine if our pacing did not ultimately get to where it was harmonized. She would always be like, I mean, literally, she's got these little short legs, but they move so fast, you know? And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. And so like, in order for us to walk together at some juncture, what do we have to do? We have to adjust our pace. Maybe I need to pick it up a little bit. Maybe she needs to calm it down a little bit so that we can walk together. But imagine if you're impatient in the relationship, your pace is going to be different, and then all of a sudden you're going to be separated from one another as a result of your lack of adequate pacing. And I started thinking about that patience factor, and patience really has to do with people, right? People will make us patient. Patience will make us work better with people. It's a virtue. It's the first thing on the list in the love chapter. The first thing that God wanted you to see whenever we talk about it at weddings. It always, love is patient, love is kind, love does not puff up itself, it doesn't bear any record. First out of the gate, love is patient. How often are you patient with the people that you love the most? I guarantee you, people will make you patient. If you are an impatient person, you will spend a lot of your life going, come on, hey, come on. Is that done yet? Do you have that done yet? Are you done? Do I need to check back in with you? Fire, email. Like, that's what impatient people do. And so I started thinking about that, and I sent it out to our staff, and I thought it'd be creative, fun. Like, hey, do you guys have any stories when it comes to like being impatient? And what was interesting is that in regards to the concept of patience, they started replying back, and this is like a video chat we have with our staff called Marco Polo, whatever. And so all of them started replying back, and the stories all had to do with their significant other or their children. So it had to do with them having to be patient with other people. It wasn't like God is teaching me patience and I'm growing in this area because I've learned to have to wait on the Lord. No, it was like, well, my husband, my wife does this, and I have learned I've got to be real patient for that You see what I'm saying? Like, it's interesting that they thought of other people when they thought about their patience. Anyway, just a thought that I just want to throw out there. It was just interesting. And I thought there's two really types of patience that I want to talk about in the start of the message, and that's patience for people and patience with people, all right? And patience for people means that in order for them to succeed, you have to be patient. That sometimes it's for their good that you have to control yourself or do something that might not be something you're comfortable doing because you want to set someone else up for success. Sometimes there's some patience involved. God always likes to give me new material. And so last Monday, after Sunday of preaching, Titus and I were able to go out fishing. And we were out all day long fishing at Lake Fork, and so it's 2 hours over there. We're there at dawn, and then we come back after the sun goes down, and it's late. Okay, it's late, and we're tired and all the things. And I get back, and actually, am I telling that wrong? Is it me and Ben? Yeah, it's me and Ben, and I get home, and when I got home, Titus comes downstairs and he says, hey, the power's out in my room, right? This is like 9:30, 10 p.m. at night at this juncture. And I was like, okay, father-son moment. I'm gonna teach him how to work a breaker box, right? Everybody needs to know how to work a breaker box whenever something goes off. So we go out, and I open my garage door, and there is a rat in my garage. And I'm not talking like a little baby field mouse. I'm talking about a full-grown baby rat, okay? I'm talking like this rat was so fat that he could not run normal, all right? He had to like kind of. So I open the door, and this rat is eating. We have those little sticky traps like by the front of our garage. He's eating the little lizards that have gotten caught in the mousetrap. He's like, and like he saw me come out of my garage door, my house, and he scampered over here behind a bookcase, and I was like, did you see that? He was like, yes, I saw that. And this is Titus's first rat interaction, right? And this is like how do you become a man type of moment, right? And I'm like, oh boy, this isn't good. This is not good. This is not good. This is not good. We have got to solve this problem. And so he humored me for a little bit, but once I got his power turned back on, he was like, all right, Dad, I don't have time for this. I just started calling, blah, blah, blah. And so anyway, this was a video I took when I was trying to figure out how I was going to solve that problem.
All I have to do is wait 5 minutes, maybe 10. He's eating the bugs that are stuck to the trap. So, can I kill a mouse or a rat by myself? I don't think I can. I don't think I can. I needed Titus to help me. Did he help me? No. He's like, I'm going to go back upstairs. Power keeps going out in his room. Wonder why. Probably got 700 devices on in there. Carrie's going to freak out. If Titus was married, he would understand that I have to solve this problem. This problem needs to be solved.
So I am now faced with this dilemma. My wife gets up at 5 a.m. to go work out, right? Dumbest thing ever, right? Nobody gets up, like, unless there's a gun to your head, 5 a.m. is not meant, that's not, the sun hasn't even come up yet. Why would you get up, right? And now if you're going fishing, completely different story. But just to go work out, no. And so I know that this is going to happen. This is going to go down, all right? And I had went out back and forth a couple of times, and every time the lights would go off in my garage, you know, it's a little timer, the rat would come back out. And so I was like, I must solve this. If she comes out and there is a rat, and I'm not underscore like a baby chihuahua size rat is what I want. Like, get it in your head. This is not an exaggeration. And so I take a broom and I go out and I start divining my plan, right? As the great, like Steve, what's his face? That Irwin? Or Crocodile Dundee, I prefer. And so I open the garage door side that he ran behind the bookcase, and I go out. This is now like 11:30 at night, right? And I have a broom in my hand, and I'm holding it like a samurai warrior, right? And I'm waiting till the lights go out, and I am just sitting, be one with the nature. And in my mind, I'm just going to wait, right? And I wait, and if I wait long enough, he's going to run out. And then I'm going to take care of business, right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm like trying to like be like a sniper, like, you know, I'm calculating the wind and which way the wind direction is so he doesn't smell my scent. And I am trying to be like deadly still, right? And I'm just imagining all this time, like what it looks like if a neighbor drives by right now, right? They see this man standing outside his garage with just like a broom in his hand, right? What is wrong with that guy, you know? He's had one too many. No. And so I'm sitting there and the rat, for 15 minutes, I sit there like laser still, right? And he doesn't come out. And I go grab Titus, and I'm like, Titus, you don't understand. We have to solve this problem. Your mom will freak out. And so we go back down, and I managed to start like hitting the boxes that are underneath this book or this table. We got all these junk boxes. Anybody else have junk in your garage? There's a lot of rat hiding places in my garage. So like I managed to shoot, like get this rat. He's like running back and forth under there, and I'm like just hitting these boxes, right? And I don't even know. Like I'm just still imagining like someone driving by, like this man is just sitting there, you know, and Titus is standing there in his underwear. Anyway, it's like a whole scene that's going down in my garage. Garage doors are open anyway. And we get him cornered up into the front of the garage. And Titus is like, I see him. And there he is. He's like a little beady-eyed guy, right? And I can't see him from my perspective. And Titus is way back from me. He is not ready to become a man at this juncture and help kill the rat. He just wants to watch Dad try to kill the rat. And so I moved this marker board because we got lots of crazy stuff at our house. Marker board in your garage, I don't know. And all of a sudden, Ty's like, hey, it ran out. I was like, what? He goes, it ran between your legs, right? Like, so I was like so close to this thing. And I didn't even see it, didn't even know it. Like, I was thinking, like, what if that would have ran up my leg? Oh my, we'd have a different sermon here. We'd have a sermon about guarding your mouth is what we would have. Like, every word that proceeds out of the mouth is from the Lord. That would have been from the devil. And so he ran up into Carrie's car, like into the wheel well and like disappeared. And I'm like, oh, this isn't good. Now I'm imagining her coming out to start her car and a rat running out into her, like trying to jump up on her and like attack her with its fangs of death, right? And I was like, well, I don't even know what to do. And so I call my buddy. There you go. Sorry. You got to be ready. And so I videoed, that's who I was talking to. I was talking to Ben and Hollis, and I was like, what do you guys think? And Holly's like, you need to move your car. That's what you need to do. You got to take the car out, because if he's in the car, when you start the car, hopefully he'll just run away. And so I moved the car, now it's like 12 o'clock at night. I move it out, and so far we have solved the rat problem, all right? A rat killer extraordinaire. I feel like somehow I killed it, but even if it just got away, at least it's not in my garage, right? And I thought I did all that for love, right? Because my wife cannot see a rat. It's not going to happen in the Bourne household. We'll be having to move and all kinds of things. And so I thought sometimes you got to be patient for people. Like you have to do things. You have to stand. You have to take. You have to absorb. You have to take it for the team, because you want to be patient for others. I thought, man, wouldn't that be great if we translated that perspective, that sometimes it's not what we want to do. I don't want to be the rat killer, but I know that I must be the rat. Guys, if you're single in here and one day you hope to get married, you have to become a rat killer, okay? And I know that this is a little off topic, but I just want to say, in the vein of the pet thing, I've noticed a new thing that's happening, and this is just extra. This isn't in the sermon. This is just something I need to get off my chest, okay? Like, I've noticed, I was at Bass Pro Shops a couple years ago, and now people, they bring their pets to the store. Has anybody seen this? Like, and I'm not judging you if you are one of those people, but you now bring your dogs. And I was in this Bass Pro, and I swear it was like I was at a dog park. There wasn't like one or two, it was like 5 dogs. People were just walking their dogs. And I'm not a pet person. I don't like animals jumping up on me, licking me, nosing me in certain areas. And there was these dogs, and they kept kind of sniffing around at me. And in my mind, I was like a pit bull. It's going to attack me, right? And then 2 dogs got into it. It's like, rah, rah, rah. And I was thinking to myself, when did we decide as a society that you could just bring your pet to the store? I was like, I'm not down with that. I'm not down with that. And I want to share with you why I'm not down with it. Because it's a little bit discriminatory, right? Because what if I had a pet boa, right? What if I had a pet boa? Can I bring my pet boa? Can I bring my pet boa to the Bass Pro Shop and let it slither on people? What do you think would happen? I bet they would freak out, right? You're being a snakeist. That's a racist snake person. If you are against snakes, then why can we have dogs and we can't have snakes? I'm just saying, if there is a universal rule, it should apply to all pets. I'll bring my baby bear in there and let it maul someone. Yeah, that's the same thing. It's the same thing. Bring your pets to your house and leave them, all right? That's how I feel about it, all right? And now I've got that off my chest. We have patience for people. And then we have patience with people, okay? Patience with people. And I was trying to think, how could I illustrate patience with people, right? Because a lot of times we just grow impatient with people. You're like, faster, faster, move. And I know some of you probably are married to someone where you feel like that. And so I thought I would try to help you. Maybe you're like that at the office. And how can you learn to be more patient? And I dug down to the annals of time in the Bourne household, and I thought I would share this one. And I think this one illustrates the story succinctly. But potty training, right? Potty training. Right? Do you guys think, for all those that have potty trained in here, did you think it required patience? Anybody? Patience? Have you ever thought about that, from an outsider's perspective about potty training? That you're trying to coach this human to do something in public, because you're watching them, that should only be done in private, right? Am I the only one? And you're like, come on. In our house, we had a word. It was called shooey. And Carrie would be in the other room, come on, you can shooey. Come on, you can do it. And we get this little chair, and we put them on the chair, and then we read them books, and it was the what caterpillar? What? The hungry caterpillar. She's reading them a story, and then if they accomplish the task, or celebrate it like it's a birthday, you're look, they were able to go shooey in the bathroom. That is so wild. And I think if you can potty train someone, you should be able to stay married to anyone, right? It's really if you can make it through that, you should be able to run the marathon. And so as one of our children had slightly aged out of the potty training, it doesn't mean that there's not temporary setbacks that occur. And I don't know if you've ever been sized up by a toddler, but I have. I see, they saw the fear in my eyes, and And so Carrie was kind of diaper duty person, and I was stay up and get the baby to sleep person, all right? We had roles and responsibilities, they're very clear lines, okay? Because I have a natural gag reflex that has been displayed here. Whenever I get around smells, I just start making this noise, and nothing comes out ever, but I will just keep making that noise over and over again. And Carrie was going out shopping. It was circa early December for Christmas shopping, and she went out with one of her girlfriends to go shopping, and it was like the door closed, and now I was on patrol, right? And it was as if when the door closed, the sixth sense of my child kicked in, and he's looking at me like, tonight's going to be your night. Tonight. It was not hours into the shop. It was minutes into the shopping. I hear what can only be described as a commotion in the bathroom. And a small child doesn't realize that sound travels, right? Everybody, you have that advantage until they're like teenagers, right? And so there's this commotion in the bathroom, and I'm probably watching a game or something, and I'm like, you just have that sense like you need to go check. Like, you ever have that sense? Like, it's like, I should go check on that, right? And so I open the bathroom door, and I was not prepared. I was not prepared. So an accident has occurred, and my son has decided to try to cover up / clean up the evidence, and has their pants off and has grabbed the towels out of the cabinet and is just, it's everywhere, right? It's everywhere. And I am like 2 steps back, right? Like I am like, call Carrie 911. Like I'm like, yeah, yeah. And that's the only noise I can make in this time frame. And I feel like I'm a fairly smart, brilliant person, and I'm like, nothing. I got nothing right now. Like, what do I, because like you just think like I got to move all of this somehow to somewhere, and there's like little rugs down, and it's in that. I mean, stuff is going to be thrown away. That is the only, like, I don't know if some of you are like, I'm going to clean it. I'm like, no, I'm going to throw this all away. I'm going to burn it tonight. And so this child has it from like stem to stern all the way. It's like took a bath in it. And so like I grab his hand and I lift him and I take him to the back door, open the back door. It's December, right? And I carry him, and on the back patio we had a water hose that was right over here. And I was like, this is the only way this problem can be solved, right? And so I take the water hose and I just start squirting him down. He's like, Daddy, it's cold. Daddy, it's cold. I was like, I know, but we didn't have to be here, did we? We didn't. I didn't make this choice. You made this choice for me, and now I have to carry this out. And did we ever have a problem again? No, we did not. So if you get past potty training and there's an accident and it's cold outside, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Patience with people. Man, when you think about it, I know that that's a silly illustration of potty training a child, but I think a lot of times from God's perspective, that's kind of the way he views us, right? We are sitting here constantly making messes, and he's like, aren't we past this? And God has this infinite amount of patience with us. And I just wonder, like, how is it that he can be so patient with us, and then we have him living inside of us that's supposed to be guiding us, and yet we have no patience with other people? Somewhere along the way, that needs to translate, right? That if he can have that much patience with you, it should grow your patience with others. And so I was thinking more down that line of patience, and I thought, what is the opposite of patience? Patience opposite is impulsive, right? And there's a great verse about wisdom and counseling, and we'll put it up on the screen. Look at this. It says, where there is no counsel, okay? So you need to have counsel in your life. You need to have people with spiritual wisdom from the Bible, mind you. He says, the people fall. So you are prone to make mistakes whenever you don't have counsel. He says, but the multitude of counselors, so if you have a lot of spiritual voices speaking truth into your life, there is safety. In the multitude of wisdom, there is safety. The inverse, I have found, is equally and oppositely true. In the multitude of idiots, there will be danger, okay? So in the multitude of counselors, there will be safety. In the multitude of idiots, there will be danger. Now, I'm going to say something now, and I know that this might sound somewhat sexist, but I think I'm going in the right direction. Whenever a group of women get together, I don't think that it's the same as when a group of men get together. Because if you have, I'm going to put the ratio above three men that get together for any length of time, something stupid is going to happen. Mark my words, if you just give a group of men enough time, crazy is going to happen. And I don't know why God made us this way. It's probably the brain damage I talked about last week. But every minute, like last time you were around, like 10 guys for more than 2 hours, something happened, right? Am I right? Am I saying wrong? No, that's why when guys get older, they just start staying at home. They've eclipsed their amount of idiocy, and now they're like, you know what? I can't do that anymore. I just got to stay home. I'm getting old. I might break. And so that's why they stay home more. And so when I was a young man, I wanted to share a couple of stories, and I want to preface these with I was not drinking. It would make more sense had I been drinking. But I was in college, and we would go play sports and then go hang out, and we would go to happy hour. And not the happy hour you're thinking, because I would go to Sonic, and Sonic would have half price off drinks, right? And like we would go to happy hour, and I always get a strawberry slush. So it's a cherry slush with real strawberries. I'm very particular about this. So it's a pump of cherry juice with no actual cherry, and then you put the strawberries in there, swirl it up. Perfect little beverage. And so it was spring, the birds were singing, and so we decided to go down to this like park bench area that bordered this river. And as we were driving down there, it was me and one of my buddies named Jason K, and he is a crazy friend that you are going to get in trouble with. And then my college roommate, who was also a preacher, so I was a preacher, he was a preacher, and he was my roommate, and he was the straight arrow. His name was Mike, okay? It was straight arrow, like walked with Jesus, never sinned a day in his life, right? He's like the Apostle John, right? Whereas I'm like the Apostle Peter. Like I am not a straight arrow, I'm a crooked arrow, right? I will eventually hit the target, but I will dabble on the edges, right? And so we were driving down to this park area, and we have our slushies in tow, and we played a couple hours. I think that day it could be any sport, but that day it was racquetball. And so we were enjoying a slushie afterwards, and we were driving down there, and as we crossed over this bridge, it was parallel to a train track bridge. And the movie Stand By Me back in the day, anybody remember that? Like they ran across that bridge, and there was that bridge in the distance with the train track, and I told my buddy Jason K, and I was like, hey, wouldn't it be awesome? One of these days we'll like go over there and go down there where the road meets that train track and like get up there and cross over that bridge just to do it, right? For no reason. No, there's no like reward for doing it, but it was like, yeah, that'd be fun. And I was like, but I said, Mike will never do that, right? So we get down there, and we're having our slushies, and this train starts coming, and from like the left side of the train track, you could see for miles in this train like whoa, whoa, and it started coming down through there. And I mentioned it while we're sitting at the tables. I was like, hey, me and Jason were talking about the way over here. I was telling Mike, I was like, we were like, one of these days, we'll get up there. And I was thinking, Mike will never go for it. And Mike, this was like the day in his life, the one day that he had a wild hair. And Mike said, let's do it. And I was like, these windows of opportunity to corrupt someone only come so often, folks. Only comes so often, right? And I am like a moth to a flame. Like, oh, he'll do it. Let's do it. All right, we're doing it. And so the train has already passed. That's how you know you're safe, okay? So we get up on these tracks, and we start walking. It's probably about 3/4 of a mile, 20 foot, 22 foot-ish up in the air. And we get all the way to where the bridge spans the river. And in between those slots, there's nothing. Like your foot can go through these slots because they're spaced out about 8 to 10 inches apart. And so like now we're like all like going, and all of a sudden in the distance, coming from the opposite direction, apparently there was a place for the trains that coming the opposite way to get on the same track, and there was like a honk, honk, and around the corner, probably no less than maybe a mile-ish going, whatever speed it's going, is a train. And me, Mike, and Jason K are all sitting there, and I've decided that we're going to have a discussion as to how we're going to handle this problem. There were these giant pillars that this bridge is sitting on that were about 8 to 10 foot down. I was like, if we jump off of this train track down to that, and then we could jump off from that onto the ground. And so I start talking to Jason, and I look, Mike is gone. Mike was a all-state running back in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and he is booking it like he left us, right? Left us. And so I told Jason Kay, I was like, you think we should jump? He goes, no, I want to run. My crazy friend is now like, let's run. And I thought the simplest thing just to get out of harm's way, okay, we're running. Okay, so we start running, and it was like a movie. He starts running out of gas with about 100 yards to go. And the train guy is back there, just barreling down on it. I'm like, as if we can go faster, right? It's not helping us, right? Your horn is not making us go any faster. And Jason's like, just leave me. So dramatic. I was like, no. It was like Saving Private Ryan moment. You can do it. Come on, man. And we get to the end, and I'm talking only like a probably 3 to 5 second differential. We fall off the tracks. That was close. And then we did this in the middle of the day, by the way. Stupid, right? And now the police come. Yeah. So people saw us. We were waving at people driving under the bridge that we were on, and they called the cops on us. Party foul. And apparently because it crosses state lines, felony, whatever stuff. And my buddy, who's the straight arrow, who's never done anything bad in his life, he's over there thinking, I've ruined my ministry. I, on the other hand, am thinking, what a great message I am going to be able to preach out of this. And so just the difference of perspective. And you think to yourself, like as you age, you probably age out of that. No, that's not true. That's simply just not true. A couple of years ago, right outside of this building, we were planning for our Uprising men's retreat. And a couple of different iterations of our Uprising, we've created a potato gun. Now, is it illegal to make a potato gun? I don't know exactly what the law is, but some, I think, say you can't make those, but I don't know. We probably made one that was legal, but let's just say that we made one, okay? And we were gonna shoot downrange at these targets, and guys getting to shoot potato guns and just ball of flames, like guys like that, right? Just like, yeah, man, boom! And so we went down after we had our training class, all the Jesus stuff was over, we went out into the parking lot. And there's probably like 60, 70 guys out there, right? And we were going to practice. We wanted to show them the majesty of the potato gun, right? We're going to, shoot it. And so we shoot it like once or twice, and everybody's like, oh. It's like caveman discovering fire, right? It's like, oh. And the discussion began to happen just organically, naturally. Much men, testosterone. Like, the question was raised, if somebody were to run and get like a 3 to 5 second head start, could another person accurately shoot that said person with the potato gun with a 5 second head start? And the guys that are discussing this are both 40, 45-ish plus. And I, again, seized if you think you could outrun the potato gun, I think we should try this, right? And so, we got video of it. You guys want to see? Well, yeah, right outside here.
When he hits the basketball goal, shoot. 2. There he goes.
4.
Oh! Hollis, like a sniper, no practice shots at all. Hit him right between the shoulder blades, right? I'm talking a 50-mile-per-hour potato. And I was thinking all to myself, if that hit him in the head. It's always those thoughts after, right? I didn't think he could hit him, And I thought maybe he would zigzag. No, he ran a straight line. And I thought Hollis, is he really Hollis is this is the moment I've been living for, right? I've dreamed of shooting somebody with a potato gun since I was a boy. And now I've fulfilled my childhood dreams. And so, I don't know. I don't know why we are the way we are. I don't know. And I'm just saying that I don't know that you grow out of it. You just need to have numbers less than 4, all right? And I think most of the time you could avoid those dangers. And so you have to have patience, and then you have to surround yourself with wise counsel to try to avoid some of these pitfalls. And then lastly, I'll close with this, that there's, in this impatient impulsivity that sometimes we have, there's a battle between waiting and wanting, all right? There's a battle between waiting and wanting. Our wants oftentimes are what we think is right in the moment. But just because we think it's right doesn't mean it's God's best. And so you always have to hold up in your mind what God has said to what you want. And if you want it right now and it's against God's will, you are oftentimes going to mess things up. And there's a crazy story in the Old Testament. And we teach the kids a song about Father Abraham and many sons. Anybody know that one? Many sons have Father Abraham. I am one of his. So is he. So are you. Right arm, left arm. It's right. What are we doing here? All right. Father Abraham. Father Abraham. And, you know, his wife got a little impatient. Do y'all remember this story? This is in the Bible. Crazy stuff in the Bible. And she came up with an idea. And I want you to know that wives, I believe this with all of my heart, you often hold the keys to the direction. Like a man is supposed to lead, but the wife and how, the powers of a woman are unparalleled, okay? And she comes to Abraham with what I can only imagine is the greatest conundrum that has ever been posed to a man of God, right? And she comes to him and it's like, you know, this plan of God, this promise of God, it's been taking a while, you know, and I think that I found a shortcut to this plan that God has. I have this younger, attractive handmaid, and I think if you just, you know, and then you could satisfy God's promise through using the handmaid as an alternative conduit. Can you imagine the conundrum that Abraham was in? Like, there's not a right answer to this question. I want you to think about this. Like, he gives in, right? He gives in, but you know, like a couple of years down the road, Sarah is like, I really wanted you to choose no on that, right? And yet, like, she suggested it. And then he did it, and like then it created all these problems. But she's like, why didn't you? You know it got brought up. Like, why did you choose Hagar over? He's like, you told me to do that. Isn't that a crazy story? Like what was Abraham supposed to do right there? I mean, clearly he was supposed to say no, but it was his wife's suggestion. And I thought to myself, is that ever like a template for confusion? I mean, do wives ever ask things, but they don't really mean those things, and they want you to know that they really mean something else other than what they're actually saying? And we're trying to like figure out and divine what it is that you really want because you asked me that question, but you really didn't mean that question. And then I have to somehow take that and then translate it over to this God perspective. And like, if I could do this God perspective, but my wife wants me to do this perspective, am I supposed to do what God said, or am I supposed to do what my wife said? And now I'm confused because the two things are pulling me in opposite directions. Man, if you're ever in between, guys, if you're ever in between God's will and what you want, you need to choose God's will. And a lot of times you're going to have to wait on God's will. It's not going to happen right away. It's not going to happen in the time frame that you want it most of the time. But is it worth waiting? It's just like in marriage. Carrie and I waited until we got married. Can you imagine if everybody would wait, how much pain could be resolved if you would just wait? When it comes to a season where we've had a downturn, where things aren't going great, whenever we're not getting along, whenever fights are happening. I heard a comedian talking about that you ever had those awkward moments in your relationship where you've like went to your neutral corners, but then like you don't time it up right and you got to go through the same hallway, and it's as if like you're meeting a stranger and you're like, okay, yeah, you go through there, and then like, okay, I'm over here. And it's like we do this silent treatment of pouting and stuff like that. I just want you to think about that. A lot of times people want to quit in the waiting time, in the patient time, whenever all the good things, almost all the good things in life are stuff you have to wait on, stuff you have to work on. And if you're willing to be patient during the downtime, what you reap in the end is so much more beautiful than you could have possibly imagined if you quit during the hard time. When Abraham finally had Isaac, and he held his boy in his arm. That was the child of promise. And what if I told you that in this quasi-weird twist of fate, our salvation was wrapped up in Abraham's faithfulness? That if he wouldn't have been faithful and keep following through on the promise to have Isaac, that's the descendant through which Jesus came. How important is it for you to wait on God's will? For you to do it God's way? What if I told you that oftentimes other people's fate, your children's fate, their children's children, their fate is wrapped up in your faith? And that if you are patient right now and you stay the course right now, that one day you can hold up that blessing because you stayed the course. It's worth it to wait. Let's pray. Father, we ask in the name of Jesus that anyone that walked in today without a happy heart, God, that you would reach down with your grace and that they would be open to it, that you would touch their heart and give them joy. God, that in this moment they would analyze their life and say, what is my perspective? Do I have a perspective that is perpetually drowning in negativity? And if so, is that the will of God? Is that what God wants me to, is that the attitude that God wants me to have? No, it is not. God wants you to see yourself in the light of his grace. It will both humble the proud and it will lift up those that are struggling in the valley. And it's able to do both at the same time. I pray for all of my people that are sitting in this room today, that you would allow God's work in your heart. And the moment that you let grace into your heart, gratitude is going to come forth. You are going to thank God. Thank God. Even for the struggles, thank God. Thank God for the blessings. If he blessed you this week, you should have praise on your lips. And I promise you, as you begin to shift your perspective in light of who God is, your attitude and your relationships, you will find that they will be transformed. We ask these things in the name of Jesus. Would you rise and worship with us?
There's a grace when the heart is under fire. Another way when the walls are closing in. And when I look at the space between where I used to be and this reckoning, I know I will never be alone. There was another in the fire, standing next to me. There was another in the waters, holding back the sea. Should I ever need reminding of how I've been set free, there is a cross that bears the burden, where another died for me. There was another in the fire. Was another in the fire. All my debt left for dead beneath the water. I'm no longer a slave to my sin anymore. And should I fall in the space between what remains of me and this reckoning, either way, I won't bow to the things of this world, 'cause I know I will never be alone. And there's another in the fire, standing next to me. And there's another in the waters, holding back the seas. Should I ever need reminding what power set me free? There's a grave that holds no bound. more than enough. There is no other name but the name that is Jesus. He who was and still is and will be through it all. So come on, make in the space between all the things unseen and this reckoning. I know I will never be alone. I know I will never be alone. There'll be another in the fire, standing next to me. There'll be another in the waters, holding back the seas. Should I ever leave behind? How could you been too late? I got the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I can see the light in the darkness. As the darkness passes away, I can hear the roar in the heavens. As the space between us fades, I can feel the ground shaking beneath us. As the prison walls lean in, and nothing stands between us. Oh, nothing stands between. There'll be another in the fire, standing next to me. There'll be another in the waters, holding back the seas. Should I ever leave reminded? How good you've been to me. Got the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. Got the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. Got the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be.
Yes. Amen. You guys can be seated. Thank you guys so much. We have a couple of announcements to close up this morning's service. I hope that you have enjoyed Sunday Fun Day. We are wrapping it up, so I'll be back to normal preaching at the end of this week. But I think we all needed some laughs. Would you guys agree? Like, was it good to laugh? I hope that it's not a sin to have fun in church. And so we want to thank all of our guests for coming out. And if you didn't pick up your welcome gift at the guest center, please do that before you leave. Our connection team would love to follow up with you and get you connected. Also, for everyone, guests and members included, right on the back of your seat is a QR code. If you're ever wondering, whenever we have announcements, we can't announce all the things that are going on. It has a list of all the upcoming activities and all the ways that you can get connected at every age level. And so please always make yourself available to that. Also, for all of our members, this is a time that we give back to God. I'll ask ushers to come forward. And while we're taking up the offering, I want you to know, every week I've tried to give a little bit of a tidbit about why it is that we do our offerings. And the number one reason is we believe investing. So when Carrie and I moved here 20 years ago with nothing but a minivan, essentially, we believed that we were going to invest our life and our life savings into this project because we believed that there were people in the Frisco area that were going to need the type of church that we felt like God was leading us to build. And so we sunk everything that we had and have continued to do so for the last 20 years. And we believe that out of obedience, that when we put our finances into God's kingdom, that it allows for other people to experience the life change that He intended. So whether it is salvation, when someone accepts Jesus as their Savior and all of eternity is changed, which we have happen on a regular basis, or it's just the fact that they walk in, and a lot of people walk into church for the first time, they're usually going through something. They're going through a broken phase. They're going through something that's happened that's tragic in their life. And what a place. Because I guarantee you, I want you to think about it from this perspective. If someone walked in today hurting and struggling and got to hear a simple message of patience and hold on and that God has a better will for your life, and they laughed a little bit, wouldn't it be great for someone to walk in and experience hope? And so every week we're going to preach a message that's going to bring hope to someone's life. And we believe that we can cover all of the truths of Scripture and yet end on hope. Because Jesus, at the end of the day, at the end of death, rose on the third day, and that is our hope. So why do we do all that we do? We do it so that other people can experience life change. And I encourage you in your finances, as we move along down this road to El Dorado, we're now like 45 days out from possibly closing on this building and then starting the other building. There are going to be some opportunities. And I'm going to tell you right now that we do not have the resources to move from point A to point B at this current time. Ergo, there will be a step of faith that is going to be required. You say, Tim, that sounds reckless. I say it sounds like God to me. And so you can be thinking about how you want to participate in that as we share it, as it becomes more concrete. I don't want to get down the road, and if we don't close for whatever reason, because there's so many things that can happen in a real estate deal, but when we get there, just know, I'm prepping you. I'm prepping you for a big step of faith. And so I want to encourage you to start praying about that now, about how you can participate. Speaking of participating, what do we got, Angela?
We have Jersey Sunday coming up on Sunday, September 12th. It's one of our favorite Sundays of the year. You can wear any jersey, any team, any sport. Just put it on and celebrate your team. Come prepared. You might have a rival in the same row. Builds connection, builds community.
Yeah.
You know, you never know what you're going to get. But we love this day. It's really the fall marker of Genesis Metro in the fall season. So find your jersey, get it out of the closet, and get it ready to wear, and deck the whole family out on that Sunday. That same week is our fall life group kickoff week.
Yep.
We are very excited to bring that back. We've taken a little hiatus during the summer, and we're ready to get full blast, full steam ahead. What is a life group? They are small groups that meet in homes all throughout the greater Frisco area and surrounding communities. It is where you find your people to do life with. We gather, we have a good time, we share a meal, and we discuss the message in a way that we just can't do on Sunday morning.
Yep.
And it connects you to each other, and it gives you people to celebrate those highs with and support you in your lows. So we would love to help you find a group. You can email us at info@genesismetro.org, and we'll hook you up with a group.
Yep.
So good. We are 6 weeks away
6
from
weeks.
Sisterhood Retreat 2021.
Yeah.
We are closer than ever. We are so excited. I just want you to know God has never not showed up. So we know that he's going to be there. We know he's got a word for you. We know he's going to just insert himself into your life so you can hear something that you can take home to your family. And that's what it's all about. It's about coming and receiving from God so then you can take it and it can impact your life. So please sign up for Sisterhood Retreat. If you are a senior or above, women only, no guys, so sorry.
Yeah, it's very sexist, in
So
my
good.
opinion.
We don't do stupid.
Like a
when
girls'
we get together.
club, what?
We don't do potato guns and such.
Well, you should.
So,
Just out of
No.
curiosity, I know that a lot of times when people are new and they're coming into our church, and sometimes maybe there's a lady that's in our church and she doesn't know anyone, and sometimes that could be an intimidating experience. What would you say to that person who's like, I really don't know anybody that's going there, so like I don't know if I feel comfortable with that.
that is a valid question. Women.
Usually
is
happens a
anybody-
lot, right?
Happens a lot. How many women have ever been scared to go somewhere because you didn't really know anybody?
Yeah.
Probably a lot of us. So I would say you're never alone. There's always several people that don't know anyone. If you would let us know that, that is helpful because we will make sure that you get connected with people that maybe have things in common with you. We would do a lot of work on the front end to be sure that you feel comfortable, that you meet some of us, some of our leaders, and that you wouldn't feel alone when you get there. And I promise you at the end, by just a few hours in, you're going to feel like you've met lifelong friends. That's the beauty of it, really.
I think it's a step of faith, right? Like the only way to get to know people is to finally take that step, and that's the way that you build that community in your life. And so it's going to be a great event for that. Last but certainly not least, occasionally different serving opportunities arise, and we've had some people that have taken jobs that have moved out of state, and we have a couple of openings as we're growing in the parking lot team. So they are the ones that do the golf carts, and then they usher people into the parking lot. So it is our Genesis Metro first impression. So a lot of you, I guess almost all of you, first time you came to Genesis Metro, there was someone standing in there smiling and waving you into your spot. And we want that to be an impression that people are like, oh, they are welcome. They care that I showed up today. And so if you are wondering like how you could find your fit, maybe you're a little bit more introverted person, maybe you don't like talking to people, what a great ministry opportunity, right? We have found your spot, right? All you have to do is this. And if you want to drive a golf cart every Sunday morning, I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. I always do it on my days off. I love just golf carting people around. And so we need more people to do that as well. And so if you wouldn't mind, if you haven't noticed, as we continue to grow, we're verging on having to think about even a third service. But we need people that as new people are coming in, that expands the ministry, that expands the opportunity to serve. We need you. So right now we need 10 people. We need 10 people that will commit to helping out in the parking lot, and maybe God is going to speak to you today and say, look, I will strike you dead if you do not start serving in the parking lot. I would heed that counsel, okay? Now, as I mentioned earlier, you don't have to be foreboding about that because you just get to be with Jesus. So it's a win-win, but I'm just saying if you would be open to it, we would love to have you help in the parking lot.
Sunday fun day's over.
Yeah,
It's fine.
okay. So that's it. You guys are dismissed. If you're new, I'd be down front, and I'd love to meet you.